Boys and Girls Club, and our myth is that living with pain can be an advantage.
Use two terms to define our myth: pain and advantage. Pain that involves different levels of discomfort. There are two types of pain: one that relates to the body and one that relates to the mind. Often the two can overlap. Pain often arises when different types of problems and situations are encountered. Circumstance that specifically favors one's successes and desires. This benefit can gain a position and opportunity of superiority.
First source came from the CNN website, which talked about a little girl named Gabby Dingus. She had a disorder known as CIPA, congenital insensitivity to pain with anhydrosis. She could feel touch but not detect pain. And the crazy thing about it is that she bit her fingers until they bled, and she damaged her eyes to the point where one had to be completely removed.
Our second source comes from NBC News. Children without the feeling of pain would often engage in activities that would harm them without caring. Of 6 children with this rare condition of not feeling pain, all 6 had injuries to their lips. 2 had lost 1/3 of their tongues. Most experienced bone fractures or bone infections that were diagnosed much later on. 1 teen outside of this group had gone into the street performing and would pierce himself with knives, walk on burning, and jump off high altitudes. On his 14th birthday, he had passed after jumping off a building.
Another source that we found was an article from the New York Times. A girl named Kayla Montgomery is a runner who collapses every time she finishes a race. This is due to the fact that she cannot feel any physical pain that's related to running for a long period of time. Her intense periods of exercise overstrain her body to a point where she suddenly gives out.
Another source that we had used was from ASDA.org, which talked about the different types of conditions that can occur from different kinds of abuse, whether they were emotional or physical. Include post-traumatic stress disorder, personality disorder, depression, dissociation, dissociative identity disorder, bipolar disorder, eating disorder, panic attacks, and schizophrenia. And these conditions can also have different kinds of effects on the mind and the body and their everyday behavior. For example, schizophrenia can cause a person's thoughts to be jumbled up together. It causes them to see and hear things that aren't actually there, and that also causes them to react in improper ways. So if they were to have a healthy relationship, they could destroy it because of the delusions that they're seeing. And so it makes them disassociate from society altogether. And another example would be from panic attacks. Panic attacks cause trembling, feeling heat or coldness, and their heart rate goes up at a rate that's really unhealthy. They also feel very nauseous, and their breathing is very short and rapid, and they feel dizzy and just feel as though they're losing control completely of everything. These 2 lists were just from 2 conditions. Each of the conditions that we previously talked about have their own set of characteristics, and each of these characteristics aren't necessarily a beneficial thing to have. Many of these characteristics lead to many health problems and issues in an individual. So you can see that pain, which causes these conditions, is not a good thing to have all the time.
Would you rather feel pain or not feel pain when you're hurt or sick? 70% said they would feel pain, while 30% said they would not feel pain. And our next question was, is feeling pain advantage or disadvantage? 85% of them chose advantage, while 15% chose disadvantage. The main reason why people would want to feel the pain because they think pain would send an alert signal to their body, telling the body to immediately fix the problem.
Decided that the myth having no pain would be an advantage is in fact plausible because of the fact that if you take emotional and physical pain into account, you can see that pain has many benefits as well as consequences. So if you have physical pain, you're able to avoid activities that are going to hurt you. So for the kids, they didn't have pain, so they would hurt themselves consistently without caring, and they hurt themselves to a point where they would damage their bodies permanently, like going blind and things like that, or even death. But if they did have pain, they would probably avoid those activities altogether. But on the other hand, if you take into account about emotional pain and you see how a physical or emotional kind of abuse causes this huge pain in a person that develops into a condition, whether it be like an eating disorder or schizophrenia or other things like that. These different conditions can harm a person because of the negative views or negative activities and habits that they get from them. So on one hand, pain is beneficial because it causes a person to avoid problems. But on the other hand, pain can also be bad because it can traumatize people to a point where they can't even do everyday activities. So that's why we find that this myth is plausible.